Ja, hi, der Jan hier von nStuff und wir sind jetzt hier auf der NAMM-Show bei Taylor Guitars und haben uns ein ruhiges Plätzchen gesucht, um mit Andy Powers von Taylor, der quasi der Designer der ganzen neuen Modelle ist, ein bisschen zu sprechen, was es dieses Jahr so an Neuheiten gibt und was für ihn eine gute Akustikgitarre ausmacht. So, hi Andy, how are you?
Oh, quite well.
Everything working well for NAMM-Show?
It is. It's all coming together. This will be our biggest year ever. We're really excited for it.
So I told our readers that you are the designer of the Taylor guitar models. So what have you designed for this year?
Well, this year, in some ways, I could summarize it by saying, in everything that we do, we always want to improve everything that we touch, whether it's our sustainable forestry, whether it's the experience when a player has when they walk into a dealer, all the way down to the guitar itself. So we're always looking at making refinements and kind of bringing these instruments out into the point where they're the most expressive instrument they could be for the musician. You know, you'll see it most notably in our 500 series. These guitars have all new internal architecture, lots of new updates, some new features, new appointments, cosmetically even. Still an all mahogany guitar, so mahogany back and sides with a mahogany neck. The ebony for the fingerboard and headstock and bridge is coming from our own sustainable ebony forest in Cameroon, our sawmill there. This particular guitar is one that I'm really excited about because this is a new one within that 500 series that hasn't existed before.
Okay, and you played it before and it really sounds amazing.
I like this guitar a lot. I mean, I'm primarily a 6-string player, but I do like 12-string guitars. I love their uniqueness. What I love so much about this one is it's a very approachable 12-string in a way that other 12 strings haven't been for me. Now, this is a guitar based around our smallest body shape. It's a grand concert guitar with a 12-fret neck. So it's a relatively short scale, but a 12-fret neck to the body joint. What pushes the whole vibrating string a little lower on the body, keeps both your hands right in front of you, and even the physical balance of the guitar feels really great. It's a 12-string that I can get around. It's real approachable for that reason.
Yeah, it looks like it's plays like a dream.
It does. It's wonderful. I mean, it's super comfy. The 12-fret neck designs have a tendency to lead to a little slinkier hand feel, mostly in the articulation hand. So for me, I'm right-handed, it would be on my right hand. It feels slinky and real easy to get around on.
Yeah.
So this is, between the small body and the new architecture inside, this guitar is a perfect 12-string in a lot of respects. Super well balanced, good volume, good projection, has a remarkable amount of warmth.
Yeah.
You know, it's all around, it's a really appealing instrument to play.
Yeah. And do you have to do some improvements to the pickup system for the 12 strings, or is it just the same as for the 6 strings?
It's mostly the same. That Expression System 2 pickup design is remarkably effective in a lot of different environments. In this case, we do use a slightly altered 12-string placement because the physical pressure balance and vibration distribution is a bit different in a 12-string saddle than it is on a 6-string. So we do alter its location a little bit to optimize the response. But it's a fabulous sounding guitar, fabulous sounding pickup.
Yeah. And what would you say, how long do you need for when you have an idea for a new instrument until it's like this?
Well, it depends on the instrument because some guitars, they take quite a lot of effort from a lot of folks to bring it to a level of refinement where we're ready to offer them to players worldwide. In this case, I've been thinking about this particular guitar for a few years now. And so I'd first built one, I don't remember exactly how long ago, and more recently over this last year started building more of them. And you know, as guitar players, we're playing it going, yeah, okay, that thing has to live. We have to be building that. So this year we're real excited to introduce this.
Yeah.
I mean, the 12-string guitar is kind of like one of Taylor's first greatest hits. I mean, back in the early 70s, that was one of the ways that Bob and Kurt had made their mark in the guitar playing world, is by offering an acoustic 12-string guitar that people could play.
Yeah.
It was one of the first ones that had a comfortable, slim neck, real low action, something that you could get into. And so we're real happy to continue that tradition with a lot of new 12-string models that we've added to our lineup.
Yeah. And behind us, we are seeing some 6-string models.
Yes, this is a 510, which is a newly redesigned instrument. This one's a more conventional dreadnought shape. But what's interesting about this guitar for this year is a few new improvements, notably new internal architecture. The insides are all different, so the guitar has more volume, more responsiveness than ever before. It's a slotted headstock with a slightly shorter scale length than is typical for a classic dreadnought design. You know, it has a real slinky, real approachable hand feel, but a unique warmth that you get with a slightly shorter scale neck length.
But would you say it's easier to improve a very traditional design like a dreadnought for you, or is it easier when you start from scratch and are developing a completely new model?
Well, they're different challenges. It's a real good question, because if I build something that's totally new, when we go to make that and put it into the hands of players, well, there's nothing really to compare it to, and so it is what it is.
Yeah.
In a more traditional design, what we're looking to do is refine certain elements that we feel could be improved upon, because a dreadnought shape exists for good reason. It works for a lot of players.
Yeah.
And so that's not something that I can radically change, that we can put out and have it be a totally new thing, because it's already existed. So when we're looking at an instrument like this, we're looking for subtle refinements to try and optimize the player's experience with that guitar and let it be its own wonderful instrument.
Yeah.
So they're two different challenges.
Yeah. And is it easy for you to get all the woods you want? Is it easy to get good wood?
No. No, it isn't. We're real diligent with protecting our forests and the resources that those offer, because we're in this for the long run. We're looking decades in advance and pursuing woods and forestry that leaves the forests in better condition than they are now.
Yeah.
And so we go to great lengths to get the best wood that's not just good quality guitar wood, but we want it to be harvested in a way that leaves the forest in good condition. We want it to be better than we found it. And so we've undertaken huge projects in Cameroon with ebony, throughout Central America, working with co-ops, in Hawaii, working with Hawaiian koa wood, partnering with people like Steve McMinn at Pacific Rim Tonewoods, who's propagating maple specifically for instruments of the future.
Yeah.
So, wherever we go, we're trying to do our very, very best to get not just the best materials, but do the best thing for the players and for the forests.
Yeah. And how long does it need from like cutting the wood until it is a guitar?
It depends on the type of wood. Some species, we're able to get them ready quite quickly. Other species need a long time. The different rolls that parts will make. Like we buy wood of a certain dimension to make the neck out of the guitar. Well, that wood seasons for quite some time before we're able to use it.
Yeah.
Something that's thin and is easy to dry, like the spruce for the top, relatively easy to dry, and partially because it's very thin, so that's much faster. So there are a lot of different. It kind of depends on what it is you're working with.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The spruce on this particular guitar of the new 500s is a unique hybrid spruce called Lutz.
Okay.
It's a naturally occurring hybrid between Sitka spruce and white spruce. Sometimes even Engelmann gets into that mix.
Okay.
So this is a particularly, it's just one of my favorite tone woods, because it has these incredible acoustic characteristics that make it uniquely suited for guitars.
Yeah.
So we're only using that on the 500 series this year, but it's something that I hope to use in the future even more.
Yeah. And there are people that are saying older guitars are better guitars because they had different woods and woods were better in these days. would you say there is some truth about it, that they had different and better woods in the past?
Yes, there is some truth to that. And I guess you look at a design, or at least in my opinion, I look at a design as two things, two parts. You have the material that you're working with, and you have what a craftsman does with it. A good craftsman will take account for the material that they have to work with. They won't coerce it or force it into doing something that the material doesn't want to do. They'll work with appropriate material. And sometimes the materials dictate what the craftsmen need to do in order to maximize what that thing could be. So as modern guitar makers, what we're trying to do is look at the material that is available and say, how can we best work with this? What will make the best instrument that we are capable of making using this material? So yes, it's true, I've seen some marvelous specimens, some really wonderful wood in vintage guitars. And I've also seen some really great wood built into terrible designs in vintage guitars. Some of them were marvelous, but in everything, it's a mix of the material and what the craftsman will do with it.
Yeah. And what would you say, how long does it need until a tailor, when you play it, how many years does it need to become like, or that the woods are like getting...
How long does it take for something to break in a way? Well, it depends. Guitars are one of the only things that I can think of in life that actually get better the older that they get. There's almost nothing else you can say that about. Maybe like a baseball glove or something, maybe. But
or wine, maybe.
Yeah, some wines. But as a builder, I don't want to have to wait 20 years to have a good sounding guitar. I want something that sounds wonderful right now. I mean, the first 5 minutes of a guitar's life are the worst. Those parts are not ready to be a guitar. You've put them together. They're just kind of warming up to the idea. But that said, I want a brand new guitar. The first time I open the case and play it, I want it to speak and have music in it. Because when I start there, I know that in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, in 50 years' time, that guitar, that instrument, is going to become better and better and better. It'll be more mature, it'll be more musical, it'll be an even more gratifying experience to the player.
Yeah, and after all these years, there are like vintage tailors.
There are.
Now.
It's true.
So is there some special Taylor guitar where you would say, this is my favorite Taylor right now?
My personal favorite Taylor guitar is the one I'm going to make next week when I get back to the workshop.
So you still have, you already have the idea for this in your head?
Yeah, we always look towards the future because we build a wonderful instrument and then we get back to the workshop the next morning and think, that was wonderful. What can I do better?
Yeah.
Because we're always looking towards the future and thinking, what would make a more musical experience? What can we offer to the player? Because ultimately what we're after is great music.
Yeah. So there are still many ideas left in you to
There
improve?
are a lot of ideas. Seems like you build one thing and it gives you 20 different things to think about that you had never thought of before. But you just weren't ready for them.
Okay, so all Taylor fans can look forward to the next new models.
Yep.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time and for showing us the new Taylor stuff for 2016.
My pleasure.
And I'm sure many of acoustic guitar players will love these instruments like you do.
Thanks, I sure hope so.
Yeah. Thank you.